Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Sunday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there and getting up and having yourselves a great start to your day. Great weekend out there so far. Got you an update on what's going to happen weather-wise for today, and then towards the end of the video, we'll give you some updated information on what's going on with the multiple system kind of setup that we have this week. And now as we get into the work week, it's going to be a pretty active work week. Severe weather, a significant and very large winter storm for a lot of the northern part of the country, and we'll talk about that. But the kind of the long detailed update was last night. We'll do a long detailed version of that again tonight, so stay tuned for that. But we'll give you some information at the end of this video of seeing what it kind of looks like. Not a whole lot has changed, but we'll give you the revised snowfall accumulations, things like that, touch on the severe weather threat, and see what we got going on. But if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. It goes a long way. I really appreciate it. The video last night did pretty well, so it's always nice to see some of these videos get more views than what we've seen lately. But it all just depends on what the weather does, right? And I appreciate people who continue to tune in regardless if it's just clear skies and not doing nothing out there. Some people just tune in regardless of what it's doing. So I really appreciate that and making it a part of your routine. If you guys got anything that I can pray about, you know the deal. Put it in the comments below so I can pray over it and so others can do so too. So let's get rolling this morning so I can let you guys get on with your day. The watches, warnings out there. You got winter storm watches, winter storm warnings already up for portions of Montana, even the higher elevations of Washington State. This is ahead of a pretty active period that's going to set up not only for, the northern plains, Midwest, Great Lakes region, Northeast, but I mean, it's going to obviously start west to east, right? How the weather flows. So, you're probably going to see, when we do this video this evening, you're going to see even more counties in different states highlighted with different colors where they have weather advisories, weather warnings, whatever it may be. But if you look in the pink right here, winter weather advisories up for northern Minnesota, portions of northeast North Dakota, and then a few counties here in northern Wisconsin. That is due to a clipper that will really just be the tone setter of what's to come. But this will deliver several inches of snow for you folks up here. And even into the UP of Michigan, I would expect some advisories to get issued for the UP of Michigan as we get a little bit later this morning, maybe into this afternoon. But, clippers can be pretty aggressive when it comes to snowfall. Normally they come in pretty cold temperatures, so your snowfall ratios are normally pretty high. But this is just really the teaser event to what's to come for some of these areas up here. But water vapor loop, shows things all right. You see this little spin down here that's just not really moving much, well off the coast of southwest California. That is part of our system that will emerge and move across the central part of the country a little bit later this week. And I'm going to try to kind of use my cursor on the fly here, but this will eventually attach to a trough that's going to kind of dig down like this, and this will eventually kind of eject across the country like this. And then with cold air up into this portion of the country, you're going to have, and even into the Northeast too, you're going to have multiple impulses of energy that's going to ride up this way as a trough digs, which as a trough digs, that's when our jet stream digs south. So wherever our jet digs, that's where our storm systems are going to kind of follow track-wise. So this is going to scoot across here. Low pressure going to take this route where I just drew the arrow, and then a lot of winter weather up here. And normally when you have this track, whether it's going like this, whether it's going like that, you're going to have severe weather probably somewhere in the south. So we'll certainly watch out for that. Let's get all these crazy arrows off and close this for now. Might use it again later, but let's talk about what's going to happen today really quickly. It's not going to be a very active day. It's looking like this is kind of uptrended. It's not a big deal, but it looks like some showers might kind of not ruin the day, but might put a damper on the day in portions of the Carolinas, mainly talking on South Carolina. I woke up and kind of noticed this. I was like, what in the world? I wasn't expecting that. But this might keep clouds around in areas of South Carolina, North Carolina, and keep the temperatures a little bit cooler than maybe you were originally expecting with your forecast. But we'll see what these showers do. Not a washout by any means, but just some showers that develop in southern South Carolina. Might pivot through the eastern sections of the Carolinas, maybe make it as far north is the southern end of Maryland, southeast Virginia. So not a big deal at all, guys, but just be aware of that is out there. Today won't be a very, very warm day. That's coming a little bit later this week. The Northeast, pretty quiet day too. You got some showers that might emerge, maybe in the form of some snow showers in the higher elevations in the interior sections of the Northeast up here in Vermont, northern New York State, New Hampshire, maybe some snow showers here in western areas of Maine as we get a little bit later in the evening, and then northern Maine, which I think will be the epicenter of some big time winter weather over the next 7 days. A little bit of snow showers ahead of really what's to come, which is much more significant than this little stripe of blue. But you guys just dealt with a winter storm. So normally when, if you guys didn't know this, but normally when places further south, even the I-95 corridor, are below average snowfall wise, that normally means your far northern states are above average. And if that doesn't make sense to you, well, really it's quite simple. The jet stream just is further north, whether it's a ridging kind of jolting the jet further north, so the storm track is further north. So these folks up here deal with tons of rounds of winter weather because these low pressures take a northerly track. So when they take that northerly track, there's a lot more precipitation to the north. And I mean, even though it's still warmer than average up here to the north, warmer than average, once you get pretty far north, is still cold enough for winter weather. And it's just, that's just what happens when you live pretty far north. But the south central U.S., some showers will emerge in western sections of Texas a little bit later today. Just not a whole lot going on over the next 24 hours. Really isn't. There's not much to speak on. A little impulsive energy might throw some shower activity sometime. Overnight tonight, you might wake up to some damp conditions or just wet conditions in St. Louis tomorrow with an area of showers that might move through. But other than that, no impact, no high impact weather expected. Now, this is where you're going to get ground zero of all the crazy weather this work week. So today, not a whole lot going on, but the beginning stages of an active pattern really set up later this evening as you have an area of moderate to potentially at times heavy snow that will kind of move through North Dakota. This will bring some pretty heavy snowfall rates. This will eventually, as we get into late overnight tonight, move into northern Minnesota. A round of heavy snow is certainly possible. And eventually, this will make its way, and we're getting into tomorrow morning at this time. But, this is a pretty aggressive little clipper. This will bring, a blast of some, it's not going to last long, not long, these clippers are never long duration or anything like that, but it'll bring some moderate to heavy snow into northern Wisconsin as you're waking up tomorrow morning. This will eventually start to kind of leave the state of Minnesota. And then as we're getting later in the morning, this will really take over the UP of Michigan and then re-amplify moisture down here in central to northern Wisconsin. And as we're getting into tomorrow afternoon, I know I'm getting ahead of myself here, a round of snow could certainly take over these areas. And this will put, several inches of snow on the ground. And this is just the first event. This is just a little clipper. So just between now and the next 24 hours, the beginning stages of this clipper, a few inches of snow is possible in areas of North Dakota and the northern country of Minnesota, a couple inches. But if you go all the way out the duration of this event, several inches of snow is possible in northern Minnesota. I swing over to, let's see, upper Midwest, and this is the duration of this little clipper event. My folks up here in the UP of Michigan, you guys could certainly get a few inches of snow. Not a ton, nothing that you guys can't handle up here, but a little bit of a lake enhancement effect up here in northeast Minnesota off the shores of Lake Superior. But certain areas could get over a half a foot of snow just off this clipper. And this is just round one. Okay, this is just a northern dominant piece of energy off the northern stream. It's not even, really a big system at all. But temperatures today, they start to warm. The ridge really starts to take over in this area and will really take over the southeast here in the next day or so. Warm day in Florida, 80s. I mean, you guys are just well into summer. And you're certainly going to feel like it a little bit later this week. But beautiful day in the south central U.S., Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana. No real moisture expected. Temperatures well into the 70s. Guys, when I tell you the southeast is going to get very warm, when I tell you that the pollen is going to be insane this week, I really mean it, guys. I think it's really going to get kick-started. Not to the point where you see it flying around in the air like you do in March and April around the south, but I'm telling you guys, it is going to be some crazy pollen all around. But moving forward here, we'll talk about what's going on with the system in the central to eastern U.S. And sorry, my phone is going off in my background. It's kind of distracting me a little bit. But we got this clipper. This flies through, moves through, and then we got another system. And here it comes. It starts to move through the north central U.S. I'm not going to break it down like I did last night, but it looks the same to me. Round of snow begins to really become entrenched into the area as we get late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. This really becomes a dominant winter storm as we get into Wednesday evening, snowing from the Dakotas all the way to potentially to Binghamton, New York State. So, and then you got a corridor of sleet and freezing rain somewhere in here, stretching from somewhere in Iowa, northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin. Southern Michigan might be really the epicenter of a nasty ice storm somewhere, and even ice into the interior northeast as we're getting into late Wednesday. And then you just got to watch the track of this low pressure. How much winter weather do you get for southern New England? Does it stay winter weather? But then you get another secondary low pressure develops, delivers another round of snow for, Minnesota, Wisconsin. Big cities like Minneapolis could get well over a foot of snow. Then this moves through, and then another round of snow for Maine, and then we're done with it. And then another system could move in for the weekend. We're not going to talk much on that right now. The severe side of this, not going to go real deep into this because we're not into the range of these short-range models. We really need to get into the range. 15% risk of severe weather, still the same. It's changed a little bit, not as circular as it was last night, but in general, still around the same area. Same area that continues to be under the gun. Over the last, seems like eternity, these areas just continue to have the risk of severe weather. But 15% risk, nothing has really changed. It hasn't increased, hasn't decreased, hasn't went from one day or the other. So I want to show you this really quick. I'm not going to get super in-depth, guys, but this is chances to see 6 inches of snow. Where you see that red, that is basically a lock to see 6 inches of snow. A 90 to 100% chance. Minneapolis right in the corridor. And I say corridor, but this is just a huge area that has a high possibility, almost lock, to see at least 6 inches of snow. Okay, so you go up to a foot, right? Chances to see a foot of snow, pretty high. I mean, these areas, there's some areas that have about a 50-50 shot, but I think this is going to increase. Okay, so you're going to get some pretty nasty ice. But the latest blend of all models, the Dakota, South Dakota, high impact snowstorm. I'll go a little bit more deeper to you folks out west in the video this evening. I got to wrap this up. Got a lot to do today. But look at you folks in western Wisconsin, down here in Minnesota. Minneapolis could certainly get a 1.5 feet, 18, 20 inches of snow is possible in Minneapolis. It really is. But you keep moving a little bit further to the west over here, the Great Lakes region. Pause the screen if you need to, but the UP of Michigan, just between what's about to come in the next 24 hours, over the next 24 hours, it's a lot going on. Okay, so this will be your biggest winter storm of the season so far. Might end up being the biggest of the season. But the ice accumulations did nothing but increase. Look at southern Michigan. This is just the blend of all models, not a forecast, but there's a nasty corridor of ice from areas of Iowa, southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois. But look in Michigan, man, picking up over a 1/4 inch of ice now is possible. Detroit, you need to watch out. Basically central to southern Michigan. Really nasty area of ice, guys. It really is. And then we go up to my folks into the northeast. I know I'm flying through this quick, but we'll get deeper tonight. But a lot of winter weather up here in the interior northeast. But, once you get into the southern New England areas, it's a tricky wild card area. We got a lot to figure out about that. Ice can be a big deal. Big deal in these higher hills in Pennsylvania and then interior areas of New York State. Man, icing can be a serious thing. I know you're thinking, a 1/10 of an inch of ice, Mitch, that's not a lot. It is. It can be an issue. But once you get to around 2/10 to a 1/4 inch of ice, that's when you get into the danger zone. So that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll get you a big detailed update tonight. God bless all y'all. Have yourselves a great Sunday.